Nasty Woman News. I'm Vesper.
And I'm Artemis.
Nasty Woman News is brought to you by 99spark.com. Discussion and empowerment for the socially aware. So today, in Nasty Woman News, we're going to be discussing Donald Trump's visit to Saudi Arabia and the meeting he had with Russian foreign ministers about last week behind closed doors in the White House. So last week in the White House, if you were paying attention to the news, you would know that Donald Trump had a meeting with a couple Russian foreign ambassadors. And one of the things that happened in this meeting was the denial of the American media. They were not allowed to sit in on the meeting for anything. Well, recently, some of the notes from that meeting were distributed through the National Security Council, and those notes were quickly flagged as too sensitive for most of the, officials in the National Security Council to actually look at, because of intelligence that Donald Trump said he received from the Israeli intelligence. How do you feel about Donald Trump sharing this information with Russia?
I don't understand why he shared it with Russia, but he can't share it with the U.S. press.
Well, see, the thing is, you don't want to share, intelligence like that. So
That's true. I understand that there are things that the president and the government won't tell the American people, but why did he tell Russia? What does Russia have to do with all this?
Well, see, I think the claim was that it would help build ties with Russia to share this information.
I mean, this isn't like high school. You don't get together and share secrets at a slumber party. It's not,
Yeah, this is...
We're not building friendships here. It's about national security.
And it's not just national security, but on a larger scale, international security. Especially because Israel is one of the United States' biggest allies in the Middle East, and Iran is one of Russia's biggest allies in the Middle East, and Israel and Iran, they're not allies. They're not even friendly. So, I don't know, it's just the whole concept of taking something that one of your allies told you and telling it to someone who's allies with someone who's essentially an enemy of your ally in that same geographic area. That just seems very irresponsible.
Dumb, but okay.
Yeah, that's a good word for it too. Because I just don't understand it. Our wonderful Mr. Trump took to Twitter on this issue, and he said he had an absolute right to share this information in the interest of fighting terrorism. And he said later that his meeting with the Russians was very, very successful. Now, I have no idea what it was successful at.
It was very, very successful. What was unclear about his message? Very, very.
I don't know. Even the Republicans are saying, you know what, we need to rein this in a little. There needs to be a little bit more discipline happening in Washington. Exactly. Because things are just all over the place and nobody knows what's what.
I feel like Donald Trump is you send him off with a note saying specifically what he's supposed to do. He's
Telephone.
Yeah, I do that. Yeah. And he's like, I'll do it. No, don't worry. And then somewhere along the way, you'll send him to the grocery store with a list, say get eggs and milk, and he comes back with a grand piano, and you're like, where did this come from? And it's just I just changed my mind.
But it's also like telephone.
Yeah.
Do you remember playing telephone in camp? You'd say peanut butter crackers, to one kid, and then by the time it got to the other kid, it would be like sea monkeys. Okay.
I was gonna say Dick Cheney made money off the Iraq War, but yeah, sea monkeys too. That too.
Yeah, but anyway, it's just, why would you share information that's considered too sensitive to be shared with your own people? Like, why would you share this information with Russia if it's considered too sensitive to be shared with your own National Security Council?
Because Putin and Trump are BFFs for life.
Okay. That makes it all better.
They go deep, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He tells them everything.
Yeah, well, apparently McMaster, the National Security Advisor, doesn't think there's anything wrong with this. In fact, he's defending Trump's decision to tell Russia this information. You know, saying he didn't expose the source of the information. It was just a spur-of-the-moment decision,
which justifies everything.
I don't know if I want
president to make national security decisions
to make
spur of the moment.
Yeah, that's a little concerning. If you're making decisions that you shouldn't make spur of the moment. Like, yeah. I don't know. He also said that Trump wasn't actually giving away any secrets when he told the Russian officials this, which, I don't know. I don't know what exactly he told them. I mean, maybe if I was a Russian official, I would know.
True.
Instead of an American citizen. But hey, why would you do that?
Because he doesn't think before he acts. He just, he shoots first and asks questions later.
Actually, on that shoot first, questions later note, that brings us over to the topic of Saudi Arabia. Now, Trump recently visited Saudi Arabia. He left for Saudi Arabia on Friday. It is the first stop on his
first trip outside of the U.S. as president.
Right. It's first stop, which several of the presidents before him, their first stop is Canada and Mexico.
Yeah, usually that's where they go.
Trump decided to go to Saudi Arabia.
Because why not?
Yeah.
Seems like a fun place.
Yeah, especially since the whole time on the campaign trail, you're threatening economic sanctions if you get elected, and you're accusing them of 9/11, and you're just, you're saying how it's...
That was just locker room talk.
He's bashing Saudi Arabia and talking about how they
push gay people off of buildings, and
they treat women horribly.
And
because we all know Trump's an expert on treating women horribly.
If there's one thing Trump cares about, it's women's rights.
Yes. So he does not, when he was on the campaign trail, there was no love lost for Saudi Arabia or, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So it's a little odd that he chose Saudi Arabia as his first stop. When he got there, one of the first things he did, which I don't know, but he signed a $110 billion arms deal with the Saudi government.
Wow.
Okay, so
what does this entail, you might ask?
Well, before we even get to that, I'd like to just point something out.
Okay.
The president can sign an arms deal. That's something that is legal. However, there are certain rules and regulations that both parties have to meet in order for that arms deal to be legal. Now, because of the conflict that Saudi Arabia is having in Yemen, the arms deal that Trump signed with Saudi Arabia is technically illegal because of the way the weapons from the US government would be used by the Saudi government.
110 billion effective immediately and 350 billion over the next 10 years.
Now, this is in an effort to equip Saudi Arabia and the other Persian Gulf partners, what they're called in the agreement, in the fight against ISIS. And some of the things the agreement calls for is the provision of fighter jets, tanks, combat ships, anti-missile defense systems, and defense sector jobs in the US. So it also includes private sector agreements, and it has a joint vision statement with Saudi Arabia. Now this isn't like a hugely new thing. President Obama worked on this as well. And he got a lot of kickback when he was working on it. You know, he got a lot of pushback from it. And Trump kind of advertised it as a, well, he did advertise this. He told reporters specifically, that was a tremendous day. Tremendous investments in the United States.
Tremendous.
Hundreds of billions of dollars of investments into the United States and jobs, jobs, jobs.
Because if you say it 3 times, it makes it more true.
You know what else he did?
What?
On the campaign,
What did
he would always say jobs, jobs, jobs.
Yeah.
And this isn't something that's new, but like we have this pattern with Trump where he's never done campaigning. He's still campaigning.
Yeah.
He's in Saudi Arabia, or he's off to the next country by the time you see this, and he's still campaigning.
Yeah.
So it does, I guess, symbol a stronger relationship, but at what cost? I mean, you're supplying a country in the middle of a very severe conflict with very, very dangerous weapons.